Hello and welcome. I'm Pratap Singh. You're joining us on yet another special episode of the Reading List on NewsX. Today we're speaking with the author of Trumpotopia, a book that is a magnum opus of 770 pages. It talks about the personality of the United States President Donald Trump, the culture and politics of the US, and how to engage and negotiate with Trump. Robinder Sachdev, an international relations expert and the president of the Image India Institute, an independent think tank, has authored the book. Robinder is also the winner of the King Sejong the Great Hanj Huel Grand Prize 2024. Now, Trumpotopia has been released in the United States and will soon be launched in India as well. Thank you, Robinder, for joining us today on NewsX. Welcome. Can you please tell us and our audience what Trumpotopia, your book, is all about, and what, according to you, does Trumpotopia stand for?
Thank you so much, Uday. A pleasure to be with you. And I think it's a fantastic program you have on the reading list. The title of the book, Trumpotopia, it's, if I may, right?
Yes.
When I started writing the book more than a year ago, that's when Trump was not even officially the candidate around March. The question, I think, which was running in minds of several people was that, firstly, what's the personality of Trump? And how will he act if he wins the election? So to my mind, the question was, what is the utopia that Trump wants to build or lead America towards? The Make America Great moment, make America great again. So what is that ideal that Trump wants to move towards and lead the country towards? So the utopia. So Trumpotopia is Trump's utopia in that sense, right? Now, in terms of the content of the book, as I mentioned in the start, I would broadly say it's divided into three major sections. First is the persona and personality of Donald Trump. And herein, I've gone into his childhood, his early schooling, his college, and then up to his years in New York, the 70s and 80s. That's when the golden age of Trump was. And even now, of course, he claims, and it is. But those are the years in which he grew and he expanded his father's business. Trump was born with a silver spoon.
Yes.
His father was a rich, wealthy, real estate developer in the New York of those years. So anyway, so 1/3 of the book is on Trump's persona and his personality, etc. 1/3 of the book is on the culture of America. And, the culture of America is said to be a melting pot, that, immigrants come, America has become a melting pot of cultures. I argue and I put forth that America is no longer a melting pot. A better metaphor is maybe America is a boxing ring. There are two groups and each contesting with each other, dealing knockout blows to each other, the MAGA on one side and on the other, the liberal Democrats. The third portion of the book is, okay, fine, if Trump became the president, then to my mind was, okay, how to deal with him. And out of 770 pages, you mentioned 1/3, around 300 pages of how to negotiate with Trump.
Yes.
And there are some ways and methods we can get into.
Yes. Now, this book does talk, Robinder, about Donald Trump, his policies, also his ideologies that shape the US and the rest of the world. Could you just elaborate a bit about this that you talk about in the book?
About his, which perspective?
About his policies, that you're speaking about, and his ideologies as well, that he is bringing about through this vision that he has for the US and also the US's relations with the rest of the world, Robinder.
Sure. You see, in terms of when I was writing, I didn't want to get into the politics, but yes, very much into the policies as to what could be the policies.
Yes.
And you see, there is a very valuable, document out there which gives you an idea what his policies could be. That was the Project 2025 document. Now, Project 2025 document was started back in the year 2022 by the Heritage Foundation as a research project. And they were preparing what policies should be followed by any Republican president if he wins if he comes to the White House in 2025. So the Project 2025, research work, they have hundreds of, scholars, researchers, economists, of course, all of the MAGA variety, all of the hardline, conservative end of the spectrum. And they came up with a document which is actually also, or more, is around 920 pages or so. So if one reads that document, I could get quite a clear sense
Yes.
of, what could happen. Okay, the point is, there are two pieces I looked at it. One is the official Trump manifesto. Trump campaign had put out a manifesto, though quite late, but they put out a manifesto as to what they would do. And there was controversy that Project 2025 is such a dark document. And Trump, in fact, distanced himself from it officially. He said publicly, I'm not involved in it. I do not know anything about it.
Yes.
Whereas the people who were writing it were his chief of staff or, senior White House aides in his previous administration. So what I define here, interesting question, yeah. So I say the Lego pieces, like the building blocks of Trump's policies. One piece is what he said on his manifesto.
Okay.
Officially. We know that he is going to act on those, whatever he has said.
Okay.
The other piece is these are Project 2025 recommendations. Now, we do not know how many of those he will adopt.
Yes.
But from what we are seeing now in the last 4 months, you will be seeing that he's definitely adopting quite a few of those recommendations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you also touch upon, Robinder, the subject of the US, its culture, its contradictions, and its crossroads. How do you believe America has changed before Trump and after Trump?
Oh, America has radically changed. But you see, this change was building up. What I've done is also I've researched since the 1960s, the growth of the far right, the conservative, the evangelical Christian movement, and the conspiracy theories also on the right, QAnon and all such. So in a way, America was priming for this. The Tea Party movement, you would remember, your viewers will remember in the 2010s, 2008 actually it came up more with, the birth controversy of Obama and all. So it was building up to that. And Trump leveraged that, or I would rather say Trump helicoptered in. And in fact, in the book I've written one chapter, I said it's perhaps the best merger and acquisition deal in politics. Trump was nowhere in politics, right? But he helicoptered in, he acquired, in a business sense, you could say, the Tea Party movement. And with that, he built up his space within the party. So, where America's culture is now, and in the first term, he could not and he did not. Firstly, he was new to Washington, D.C. Secondly, many of the officials he, appointed were traditional, well-known, established Republicans, right? Because the establishment suggested, take this guy. And several of them did not, just kind of, just jump on his orders. And several of them, in fact, resigned. So you remember the first term was very chaotic in that sense. So he could not move fast on the agenda and also the culture of America. But now this time when he has come, he has full liberty as to whom he hires, which he earlier also had. Okay. But this time he's picking only those folks who are completely trusting and loyal to him. So he's pushing the agenda much more aggressively. And, the Project 2025, that 900-page document, they had a checklist ready, drafted executive orders in that document that, on immigration to ban travel from Muslim countries, what's to be done? The letters drafted out. So that is another reason we see that what Trump is doing ever since day one, he's doing things at such a speed. Every day, new executive orders.
Yes.
Although tariffs is what we are talking about more in the world, let's say, right? Because that's what concerns the world, tariffs and the wars. But within America, he's instituting changes. You can see very well, education department virtually, whittled away. DOGE, the government of efficiency, Department of Efficiency, orders by the dozens. I think he has issued by now, if we were to see, I think over maybe close to 200 executive orders, or if not 150 executive orders. So he's moving at a speed, and he's moving at a speed because he has the homework done.
Right. Right. Now, in this book, you also decode Trump's persona and worldview. Why do you believe, Robinder, Donald Trump and his actions are so integral to the global economy?
Oh, they're absolutely integral to the world economy, and not only the world economy, the world geopolitics also. I mean, in a big picture, what is happening is that, the number one empire of the world has decided that it will never give up its place to the number two, which is the challenger, which is China. And in order to stay as the number one, it will use all its means. The big difference with Trump and all other American presidents earlier is that Trump is now heavily using the assets that he has, which America has, which is its military power and its money power. So he is raw in that sense. There are no embellishments of niceties and political correctness.
Yes.
So the point is that my way or the highway, if you do not, fine, go ahead. This is what I will do, and do what you can. It's
Okay.
virtually that approach that he's taken.
Okay. Now, you've said in your book also, Robinder, that Donald Trump has carefully cultivated his public persona, where media, branding, chaos are all deployed as tools of political engineering. Tell us a bit about this aspect of your book that you're touching on.
Oh, certainly, yes. I mean, one of the aspects also that I frame is optopolitics, right? That is the optics, which is layered over the politics of Trump. Even before now, and I again go back to the 1980s, that's a rich period to, learn and know more about Trump. He created his persona as a very successful entrepreneur,
Yes.
a man with a golden touch, like let's say the Midas touch, big, beautiful projects. But yes, no doubt, the Trump Tower that he may built was a massive skyscraper. It was the tallest skyscraper in New York at that time. So that was quite an achievement. But then what he did also was he used to woo or court, the media and the press, especially the print press in those times. TV was not so much on there. And New York Post, Rupert Murdoch's tabloid, was just coming out had started in New York in the late 1970s. So they were looking for gossipy stories, news stories, and all. So Trump would very carefully, cultivate them, invite them to his events, in any case, he would hold events and parties, rich, lavish. So he would convey all that persona as a very successful businessman. Though several of his businesses since then and even now, up till now, have gone into bankruptcy. Okay. And some of them have closed up also or closed down also. But
Yes.
the net is that he's a successful businessman. If you see, he's made big money, reasonable, between $3 to $5 billion is his worth as of now. If you don't include Truth Social and World Liberty Financial, which are the two crypto and tech businesses, which he's moved into new. So he's been successful. He has been a failure also. But on the net, he has been much more successful than a failure.
Okay.
And he's projected that image that I am golden.
Yes. Now, in the book also, you delve into the history, the biography, the legacy of Donald Trump. How do you believe, Robinder, the events in his life have shaped up the man that the world is seeing today as the US president?
Certainly. In some ways, it's said that we are the product of nature and nurture. So I've gone into that. And the nature that we have is determined to it is our genetics, right? So Trump's father was also a very competitive man.
Right.
He was very competitive. His mother was a very charming, graceful socialite, and she would host parties and all. So those are two aspects, competition and charming. Trump can be immensely charming when he wants, right? So those two aspects come from this thing. Then his schooling, fine, but then, he attended the military academy, New York Military Academy. In fact, he's the only American president who has attended a military academy in the school years. Many presidents have attended, in their college years and gone on to be president, or some of them, but none in the school years. And in the school years, it is said that that is one area where his fascination for, military and uniforms and order comes from. So that's there. Another thing is trust. His father, the business which he ran, Trump and Sons of Construction, his father, Trump joined his father's business right after graduating from Wharton, right?
True.
So his father believed in keeping the family in the business. That is what Trump also does. In his business, the Trump organization, the control, and it is run by Don Jr., Eric Trump, Ivanka, her husband Jared. So his children, he completely involves in his work. in his business. And that is the same thing we now see in his politics, even in 16 elections and even now. So he involves his family in his business without any, without any second thoughts.
Yes.
So these are some aspects of his personality and his operating style.
Absolutely. And I believe you also in your book speak about how world leaders should tackle Trumpotopia. This is something that baffles a lot of world leaders and nations and foreign ministers and foreign policy think tanks as well. Just shed a bit more light into this aspect of your book.
Sure. Yeah. Fair enough. As I said, 1/3 of the book is oriented at that, and I wanted to make it a practical book also, right? For diplomats, world leaders, be it prime ministers, presidents, ministers. But this book is also, by the way, a textbook and also for corporate CEOs. So in ways of dealing with him or negotiating with him or how to approach, there are several things. I'll quickly highlight a few top ones. One is that he wrote the book Master of the Deal, wherein he said that I do this, I set artificial deadlines, bluff, etc. I've extracted some of his key quotes from there and I've given a counter to that. If he does this, then how can you counter someone who's bluffing? Yes. That's one big area. Another is that, once again, going back to the New York of 1980s, the negotiating, deal-making style, the rough tumble up and down, the hustle, deal-making of New York, I have kind of, extracted several of those and shared that these are the usual practices, not only Trump, anyone who was in that, let's say, in that elite circle in New York, even now, they operate as they bluff, they set artificial deadlines, create pressures, set a meeting in a location which is very opulent so that the other person who's coming feels a bit odd, all of that. So one is understand the way New Yorkers negotiate and learn to counter that. One is see what he has said in the art of the deal and counter that. And then another, several one, network with his family, and that we've seen it, right? Network and how to network, actually, not only network, how to network. Where are the areas in which, Don Jr. Is more involved? Where are the areas in which Eric is more involved? Who are his top advisors, etc.?
Okay.
And, yeah.
Okay. And how do you believe Trump has shaped American domestic politics? Do you believe he has, firstly? And if he has, how has he shaped it?
Oh, he has totally shaped it. He has totally shaped it. He's totally rearranging. See, for Trump and his MAGA ilk, this is a revolution. They believe that if Trump had not won this election, then the right in America would have faced very, very dark future. For them, it was almost like a do or die situation. In fact, one of the authors of this project 2025, he said the revolution will be bloodless if the Democrats allow.
Okay. My final question to you, we've pretty much run out of time, Robinder, was what actually made you write this book? What was the idea behind it? What compelled you to pen this down?
Thank you, Uday. I mean, what compelled me or what got me going was early last year, even before he was officially the candidate. Yes. Because even then, there were people who were always, surprised or curious about that. Who is this guy? What's his personality? What's the kind of language he uses? Why? And all of that. And what will he do? So you start from that. So I found him an interesting personality to research. And I've been with you, thank you, quite often, and NewsX maybe on several such stories.
Yes.
So it struck me, why not write a book about Trump? And, with these tips and all, if he becomes the president. Now, by the time I came around July or so, then came Kamala Harris, that whole Biden fiasco. Then actually I thought, why write only Trump? If I write about Trump, it may seem like that I am a fanboy of Trump. I started a book simultaneously on Kamala Harris also, which I called Compelled.
Okay.
And on 5th November, the election night in the United States, both my books, you can say first edition of Trumpotopia and Compelled were ready. Trump won. I went back to the Trumpotopia book. I edited it better because, it was written in a rush. I edited it and then got it out as the edition right now it is.
Okay, great. Well, great story and wishing you all the very best for this book's response. Thank you so much for joining us today on NewsX, Robinder.
Thank you so much, Uday, for having me. Always a pleasure with you, sir. Thank you.